like the Ficht, which has the worst, reputation yet. Mm-hmm. In those like early years, I don't remember what the years were, 98 or something. But those early years of the Ficht, what percentage of them were blowing up? Because then afterwards, after they fix these issues, that percentage starts shrinking more and more as the years go on. But it had to be a really high number of those Fichts blowing up in those first couple of years, like most of them, to have as bad a reputation as they had.
I don't know. I would like to see that it would be nice to have numbers on that to actually put, that to bed. I mean, if you look at it at a different angle though, where, like you said, take the engines that were after the flagship, any engine that you put out there in the first, like that's why they do research and development. They R&D engines for 5 years or so, where they just put them through these extreme conditions to try and eliminate those issues. Because, if you put out a flagship product, any engine, doesn't matter, car, whatever, any product that's like brand spanking new, you're going to have a few runs of problems that you didn't foresee. I mean, it's a new product. So, if you take out the early HPDIs and the early OptiPops and you take out the Ficht or whatever, and you get into when they've ironed out those problems and actually people got to use the product, I think that the issue with a lot of those engines where you got people that have all these problems could probably be more attributed to abuse and neglect, or somebody that doesn't know what they're doing with the engine and they couldn't get it fixed. So like the reputation of something, let's say you bought an OptiMax, you didn't do anything with it for like 3 years, 4 years, and you started having these problems. And then you take it to a shop and there's only a Yamaha guy there that has no idea about any OptiMax, no software, no nothing, doesn't know anything about it. And then he just starts, trying to figure it out on your engine. It takes him, a month and $4,000 to figure out how to fix your engine, and he partially gets it fixed, but now you've got legitimate problems every time you use the boat, all because of, neglect, abuse, and somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing with the engine.
Yeah, I think neglect is a very overlooked thing that adds on to the bad reputations of engines, because there's too many people that you see that just, they'll hold out a service for, way too long. You know what I mean? And maybe they just don't know any better. But I feel like you really should. If you're buying an outboard, you should know your service intervals, because it surprises me when they're like, oh, this thing's a piece of junk. It's unreliable. I haven't changed the oil in 5 years, but that doesn't matter. It should run. What are you talking about? I know we're on two strokes, but, just any little service thing, if you take care of them, I feel like most of them will have lasted more. But
yeah, it'd be interesting to see those numbers because I think that's a big attributor to, this whole reliable versus unreliable and what makes it unreliable. I mean, just like your car, if you take your car and, you drive it for 20,000 miles before you change the oil, your car might take that abuse, but in the long run, you're going to have all these legitimate issues and problems that continue to occur once you get towards the,
it'll shorten the life a lot when you let that oil change run out for so much longer. It might not give you any immediate issues, but it'll shorten the life of it and start giving you problems that could have been prevented. And then you're stuck thinking that you've got an unreliable engine. Yeah. And really, you caused it to be, or you had a fair share. Or
you bought a used one and you didn't, because that's kind of the stuff that you can't see. Like there's no way to test for what kind of abuse. I mean, obviously you can do the visual inspection and see salt corrosion and this and that, and you can do a compression check, but you're not going to see, what kind of abuse the engine took before you got it. So I think that's kind of a problem. And there's no good way to test for that. You can't see,
Yeah.
I mean, you can see corrosion and salt buildup in a dirty engine. But let's say you don't change the air filter on one of these direct injection engines, because most of them have air filters, at least on the Optimaxes, and that thing was starving for air for how many years? I mean, it's the unforeseen problems that you could have that eventually build up and make something unreliable.
Now, if you enjoyed this clip, you can watch the full episode over here, or you can watch another one over here.